Hey everybody, thanks for joining us back here as we continue this restoration project at a little family cemetery, the Ripley Cemetery in Gallia County, Ohio. We've been working on a restoration project for Araminta Ripley Edler. She was a young mother who died shortly after having given birth and was buried up here alongside her husband, John. Actually, she was buried first and John was buried some years later, but he was buried up here next to his first wife, Araminta. When we started this, her stone was laying down flat. There was no evidence of a base for the stone at all. We have managed to locate the base that went with that stone. It was buried down several inches below where the stone. We, step one, found it. Step two, we dug it out. Step three, we cleaned out the slot that will receive the slab stone when we're ready to put it all back together. That slot had pieces of the old stone, actually one single piece of the old stone broken level with the top of the base. It was bordered in, and we've spent a good bit of time in the last video that we hope you've watched getting that cleaned out and getting it ready to go back. Now, what we want to focus on this time, though, is we want to reset that base. We want to set it into the ground, but we want it set on a solid foundation of some crushed stone and some sand. Give it a good base so that it won't sink again. At least it won't sink as quickly as it did this last time. The way we will go about this is to excavate a little bit of space here. That's the base that we want to set in. That's the stone that's going to end up back in that base, and we want the base to be situated in this general area. Now, there's a hole there already. I've refilled it with the dirt that we took out of it. That's there because of the work that we had to do to dig that base right there out of the hole. As I said, it was sunk 8 inches or so below the surface of the ground right there. We dug it out. There's a little bit of void left that was taken up by that great big rock before. So that's helpful, but that hole isn't exactly where we want it to be. If you notice, this is the stone of her husband. There's another footstone that you see back that way, and we like all these to be in a pretty straight line. So our hole's really back farther than we need it to be. I'm going to dig it out and dig it down a little bit. I would like to have 2 or 3 inches of this stone exposed on the back. A little bit more of that will show on the front because of the fact that this is on a hilltop and there's a little bit of a grade going down that way. So we got to move that out of the way. We're going to dig down a little bit, make some space, and then we'll see about filling in and giving this thing a nice footing to stand on. That stone has only been sitting where it is for about a week, and you can see that it has worked a number on the grass where it's been already. refilling this hole the last time, I had uncovered some chunks of, actually one big chunk of concrete. I have no idea where that came from. And there will be a couple bricks we'll uncover here as well as we dig. We'll just throw them back in the hole when the time comes, but obviously I found it again. Okay, I'm pretty happy with the depth of that hole. I want to begin to get an area in here that is roughly level. The soil doesn't have to be exquisitely level at this point because we're going to backfill it with some crushed stone and some sand, and we will make sure that that is sitting quite level. And then we'll set our base on it. Ridge right here needs to go. I think this is better if we bring it up just a smidgen. Don't want to go too deep. We are going to be adding additional material in here. I don't want to have to waste my material either. When you're leveling something, by the way, you can learn a lot through your feet. Little high spot right there. Okay, that is tamped down quite nicely, so it's time to put our bed down. We have our hole dug to the approximate size that I think it needs to be. I've tamped down the soil on the bottom and gotten it as close to level as I think I can. So the next step is we're going to fill this in with some hardscape material so that we can give it a good base on which to sit. Now, what I'm using is some of this crushed stone paver base. If you were laying pavers, laying a sidewalk or something, this is the kind of stuff that you would use. And it's essentially just crushed stone. They would call this crusher run if you went to get it at a place that sells gravel. And I'm going to kind of eyeball. Now I've got 2 bags of the crushed stone. I've got 1 bag of paver sand. Again, referencing the way that you might do this if you were working on a sidewalk or something, you would typically lay about a 2 or 3 inch base of the crushed stone, followed by a 1 inch layer of the paver sand, and then your bricks would go on top of it. What I'm going to do though, I don't really want that layer of sand for this base to float around on. So I'm going to kind of mix the two, and I think that the quantity should be just about right if I do 1 of the paver base, the crushed stone, 2 of the paver base, followed by or mixed in with 1 of the sand. We'll lay that out, we'll mix it up, smooth it out, tamp it down, and then we'll try to set our base on it. think you might be able to see here how the base is still rough cut. The bottom of the base is still rough cut, and then this part that could potentially be seen above ground was tooled a good bit more smooth. Okay. That is pretty close to alignment with the other stone. Now let's see how level we are. And believe it or not, next time we're going to finish resetting this stone, and then this restoration will be complete. If you've made it this far, you know that you don't want to miss that. Now, thanks for watching. We'd love it if you give us a like and a subscribe, because there's a lot more interesting stuff in the pipeline. We'll see you next time.